Welcome back, everybody, to a episode of Talkin Schmoedown. I am your host, Raynor here. This is episode number 1. We talk all about the as well as the Batman exhibition match and some other announcements that happened throughout the last week. So real quick, this pay-per-view, I'm gonna break it down kind of toward the end, but this pay-per-view we had Kevin Smets going one-on-one with Chandru Dhandapani. Kevin Smets' first time back in 15 months. These two of the greatest to ever be in the division. So it was a hell of a match, which I'm excited to talk about when we get there. And this Batman match, this exhibition match that happened between Mike Kalinowski and Kevin Smets, man, if this is the kind of stuff that they are going to do, these little extra exhibition matches on the channel, I'm so down for it. It was really cool, and I'm excited to see more of that. So, but before we get into all of that, I want to go through some of the announcements that happened since the last episode of Talkin Schmoedown. Throughout that week, we were getting a bunch of announcements from the managers about the factions and stuff. And there were a few that hadn't dropped yet before last week's episode on last week, Tuesday. Coming to you a couple days late. This week had some stuff going on. I want to go in to see the Batman yesterday, and that was fantastic. So, or not yesterday, the day before yesterday. And that was fantastic. I was so excited to see it, and I hope that you guys have too. But we are not talking about Batman the movie. We will be talking about Batman the exhibition match a little bit later in the episode. But the first announcement that I want to talk about was Winston Marshall. He came on. He told us that Paul Oyama is coming back to Swag, but Lon, however, is not. He doesn't really want to follow a schedule. That's all character work. I'm sure Lon's probably got stuff going on, and maybe he'll be a rogue throughout the season. I guess we'll have to see. But I always felt like I like Lon, and he is very good, but he's kind of hit or miss. And I always felt like Paul needed a better partner. So I hope that Winston will be able to get a better partner for Paul Oyama. He's also bringing back Ace Cabrera for the Star Wars division, which I think is fantastic, as well as Clee Wiggins and Amaru Moses. That's a pretty damn good get for Swag for the Inner Geekdom division. Since he's no longer got Chandru, he picked up another heavy hitter with Amaru. And like pretty much every other team, that fifth slot still open, and I think we need a solid partner, like I said, for Paul with this fifth slot. I don't know who, but there's a lot of interesting options out there, and I'll be honest, I kind of want to see it to be someone like Ethan. I think that would be really cool. But I could also see Ethan doing something else, going somewhere else. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. We find out that Janine is no longer going to be on the Stars. So maybe Paul and Janine. I don't know. It could be interesting no matter what happens. I really am excited to see where it goes. Now, even though we don't really know what's going to be actually happening with all of these factions and whatnot, it still excites me just kind of knowing what's going to happen, seeing who might be teamed up and working together. All right, then we had Kate with the Den. She did her announcement, and she kept railing because Frank Janish did some of these where he was kind of doing an interview style, and she just kept railing on him. And it was hilarious. Kate is one of my favorites. She is so funny. It's ridiculous. If you're not on the Kate train, man, get up on there. Choo choo, man, get up on there. She is bringing back Thomas Harper and Saul for the Star Wars and the Inner Geekdom divisions, respectively. She's bringing in now Jen Kemp, as well as Ben Bateman. That was the big surprise here, was Ben Bateman. After he said no to Kaiser, that he was not going to join the dungeon, we were like, okay, well, where's he going to go? What's he going to do? And now we know he's going to be on the Den. And at the time, everybody was really focused on like, oh, who's he gonna team with? Who's Kate gonna get to team up with Ben Bateman? But Ben doesn't want to do teams. He specifically says that in the video with Kaiser, and it boggles my mind that everybody's so focused on Ben as a team. He wants to focus on his solo career. We have Jen Kemp on this team. She needs a good partner to team with, and that's who we should be focusing on. And I have a suggestion: Paige for Betty. Now, I know, a lot of you probably be like, well, I want to see her and Ben, keep going at it. But they did that, She came in, said, I want Ben Bateman. I'm going to beat Ben Bateman. And what did she do? She beat Ben Bateman. She's done that already. Now she can move on, and they can now be on a team. Sure. And I still think it would be hilarious to watch her rag on him, even on the same team. But I think Paige would be the perfect partner for Jen Kemp. I think that they would make an amazing team. And I hope that that's something that we may get to see. I don't know when we're going to get more announcements about this stuff, because it seems like we don't have any faction that has a full roster yet. So hopefully we'll kind of hear more about that and kind of get really a better sense of how the factions are going to work. But as of right now, we really don't. So we're just kind of guessing. Then on Twitter, we had actually gotten a little bit of a tweet from Mara Kanopik about not getting re-signed with the dungeon. And it got me thinking, we have these open slots. And at first I was like, okay, we've got Roxy still. We've got Adam Witt with the fan favorites. But after everything that happened with Roxy, as we saw, and I'll talk more about once we get through the pay-per-view, I don't think I want her on that team. I don't think it's a fit anymore. And I think that Adam Witt, I think that's the way to go. He has nobody. He has not announced a single person for his team. I think Mara would be an amazing get for him. So I want her to be like, she seems like she wants to be on a faction, and so I'm hoping that somebody is smart enough to pick her up. Then Janine made an announcement. We weren't sure what this was going to be. Everybody was like speculating. Is she going to retire? Is she going to start her own faction? Is she going to be the one taking over the stars or something? Like, is Roxy going to stop? None of that happened. All it was she was just there to make the announcement for Roxy. And she says that she's going to be returning to the stars, as well as Alex Damon. And that there was a major movie trivia Schmoedown player being eyed that even she didn't know about. Well, we get through the pay-per-view and we find out that major player is Chandru. So now Chandru's on the stars, and a lot of stuff went down, and it has caused Janine to no longer trust Roxy. So Janine has left the stars. So it's just Alex Damon and Chandru Dhandapani. I don't know if Alex will stay on the stars or not. If he's okay with her kind of personality change or attitude change, she's kind of becoming more like she was. I wouldn't never say that she was a heel before, but she was, I feel like, kind of a tweener. I think she rode that line quite a bit. But she has dove over that line to really back Chandru here for this. And I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure it'll be good for her career-wise. Sure. He's a great player. We'll see what happens. But before all that happened, like, it got me wondering, okay, who could she get on this team? Maybe a Dan Murrell, maybe an Ethan Irwin, like that. These are the types of names I was thinking about when Janine said it was a big player. And even Janine had kind of hinted, oh, maybe it's somebody like an Adam Collins. She said this on backstage. All those would have been awesome, but she went with Chandru, and I think that she's going down the route of a heel faction, and there are going to be certain players that are just not gonna want to be on a heel faction, so or who wouldn't fit in a heel faction. And so I feel like it's going to limit who we may wind up seeing there. Maybe a Dan. Dan has been on a heel faction before. He just kind of does his own thing. I don't know. I can't see an Ethan on something like that, but you never know. Adam Collins, I could see him doing that. You know, he was in Corruption, so I could see that. And if Roxy were to make him a good enough deal, especially getting kind of spurred by Shannon, sure, you know, it could happen. But she's only got a Star Wars and an Inner Geekdom player now, so she needs singles and she needs to fill out the rest of that if she wants to have any chance of making it through whatever the faction race happens to look like this season. All right. So then Harloff also did a Q&A recently on the Facebook page, and he announced a few things, revealed a few things going on. We found out that this year's free-for-all will be in April, as opposed, I think it was in August last year. So this year's it's going to be in April, so it's next month. And Paul Oyama has until then to cash in his guaranteed title shot. So we're talking maybe a month and a half. He's got like 6 weeks or so. So within those next 6 weeks, we're gonna see Paul Oyama in a title match. So that should be interesting. I'm wondering if this upcoming, because I'll say this: there was another announcement. The second pay-per-view of the year is going to be on March 25th. So we got three weeks away for that, and that's gonna be Marisol defending against a to be determined opponent. I'll be honest with you, I could easily see that being Paul. He cashes in, boom, there you go. Or even, let's say they do like a mini tournament almost thing, to kind of get to a number one contender, and this person goes and he cashes in, they make a triple threat. We have not seen a triple threat in a long time. And I want to see those multiple player matches again, the triple threats, the 4-ways, the 5-ways. I really want to see those come back. And I think that would be a cool time to have it happen. Title match, you got these two players, Paul cashes in, boom, triple threat for the title. Who's going to win it? I don't know. But it'll be a hell of a pay-per-view main event if that's the way they roll. Let's see. What else did he talk about? He said currently the only live events that he's looking to do this year will be Star Wars Celebration and the Spectacular. So he's focused more on getting the Schmoedown back to where it needs to be, getting everybody used to this new format, getting back in the studio, getting everything settled there. And then in 2023, going full force with everything. That's what he's hoping for, which I think that's a good plan. This stuff it costs a lot. The live events are very expensive to do. And so you want to make sure that you have a solid base for what you're doing right now. The last 2 years have been rough. So I'm excited to see what they do throughout the season. And then next year, get back into those live events, and hopefully I'll finally be able to go to one. Okay, so also the singles teams in IG divisions are the three that will be focused on the most heavily. Last year, it seemed like everything was kind of even split, and there was a lot going on. It was jam-packed. Sometimes it felt like too much was happening. I'm sure some people won't say that, but sometimes it felt like too much was going on. And so it seems like we're going to be going back to the way it was prior to the digital era, where the Star Wars division takes a bit of a back seat. There's not going to be as much happening. And it is a bit of a bummer. I've kind of really have grown to really enjoy watching the Star Wars matches, even though I can't answer pretty much anything in those. It's rare that I am getting more than like a handful of those questions correct. But because I remember he had talked about doing like the Star Wars division digitally, and I know he hates digital, but I mean, I'm thinking maybe even just do like a mid-year tournament on like Twitch the way they did last year. The early, like the first, I think I called it when I was doing my my fantasy draft. I titled it the Spring Tournament, and they did it all on Twitch. I mean, I don't think that would be a terrible idea to do something like that. So it's just all getting done digitally over there, but then the main, the title match or whatever, or even maybe the tournament final could be on the YouTube channel in the studio, and then the title match obviously as well. And I mean, I think that would be a solid idea. It would at least get the ability to have a few more Star Wars matches by doing this like little mini tournament. And then you can it doesn't have to necessarily interfere with anything. You could have it on like Wednesdays, the way you did before, with, what they're doing now on Fridays, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And then faction points and all that, like I said, they're very low priority. He talked a little bit about. And we still don't have an idea of what's going on with those. I don't know when we'll find out. I don't know if he even knows when we'll find out. And we also don't know what's going on with the FCL. He keeps saying, soon there's going to be announcements about that. But I feel like it's bumming me out a little bit. It's like, where's the FCL? This was a big thing happening last year. And I understand he doesn't like digital. But the FCL, I felt like there was a lot of great competitors there. And now they're just sitting around not able to do anything because the FCL is not running right now, which hopefully that will get up and running sometime soon. I mentioned that second pay-per-view that's happening. It's Marisol McKee defending her title. He also did announce the undercard for this March 25th pay-per-view, and it will be Chance Ellison versus William Bibiani in their second match. We'll see what happens. I'm always rooting for Bibbs. But Chance, he's not an easy player to get through, so we'll see. It's going to be good, though. I think it'll be a really good undercard match, and hopefully we see something interesting happen with that title match. All right, so that's all of the announcements and little bits that happened before the not within the pay-per-view and whatnot, and so. We're going to get into this, first off, this Batman exhibition match. I want to talk a little bit about that first. It was Mike Kalinowski, Kevin Smets. I love that they're doing matches like this. You got like a big property coming out. You could do, a themed match around it. Like you got that Jurassic World movie coming out in June. Do a Jurassic Park exhibition match. They've done a couple of those. But do another one. Why not? If you're going to be doing this kind of stuff, they do it for these types of big movies. With Doctor Strange coming out, do an MCU one. I'm sure that he's got a lot of these ideas, and I really hope we do get to see more of them. And it was short. It was like a half hour. So it was like they shortened the match questions. They kind of went back to basics with it. It was 8 questions in the first round, 4 in the second, and then your normal, in the third. Which I was like, oh, okay, sure. I mean, you just want to keep it a little bit shorter. That's fine and all. But like they made this big deal about making everything uniform throughout like all the divisions. I just kind of assumed that even the exhibition matches would be uniform. But if they're just there to kind of make them a little bit shorter, have something a little bit more fun. I get that. And, I can be totally okay with that. All right, so we had Mark and Winston on the desk for this one. It was great seeing Winston on the desk, especially for a match like this. He loves Batman. He was wearing his Batman shirt and everything. It was really cool. Mike brought out a Batman cowl for both he and Kevin Smets, and they wore them throughout the first round. Kevin wore his for the first round. Mike wore his. He stayed committed and wore that thing the entire freaking time. It was awesome. And not only committed to wearing the mask, committed to some voices. He did essentially a different voice each round. He did Batman, the growly, deep Batman voice for round 1. Then he switched it up to Michael Caine's Alfred for round 2. It was a little bit easier on the voice. And then he did some Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze for round 3. It was fun, and his Batman and the way he did it, and it's like the look on his face. I don't know what it was about it, but it was hilarious, and I absolutely loved it. Okay, so the one thing I was really kind of hoping for was I was really kind of hoping he would do Tom Hardy's Bane. I don't know if he can do that voice or not, but I was hoping he would try, because that would have been hilarious to me. Okay, so like I said, we do this round. Smets winds up missing one question in that first round. You know, these two guys, they live and breathe this stuff, and so out of 8 questions, only one missed from one person. I think that's pretty damn good. It was it was the Batman, the Lego Batman movie question about bedtime, which I've seen that movie a bunch of times, and I was struggling to try and remember what the answer to that was, and I couldn't pull it either. So, it's not necessarily surprising that one of them would necessarily miss it. So round 1, 9-7 in favor of Mike, as he gets his bonus because he goes perfect there. We get into round 2. Smets gets he spins Ben Affleck, but spins away and lands on Rogue's Gallery. He has an okay round here. Even he says maybe he should have stayed on Ben Affleck. Like, he seemed real adamant. He's like, nope, I don't want this category. But it's like, I mean, I think that would have been. I mean, in comparison, it's only a couple of movies. It's only like 3 movies, so 4, I guess, if you count Suicide Squad, because he does make some appearances in that as well. Like I said, he misses one question. Mike gets the steal on that, though. This was a 2-pointer. You know, he miscounted. It was about the Dark Knight, about how many bad guys were there in that bank scene at the beginning, and he forgot to include the bus driver. And Mike knew it, man. He over here naming off all their names, their code names, and everything. I was like, damn, Mike. Like, he deserved. You know, I'm going to say it right now. Mike winds up winning this match, you know, and it was well deserving. It was well deserved. So Mike spins Michael Keaton, and this is where he switches to the Michael Caine voice. And they kind of make fun of him for that because, you know, it's Michael Keaton, but it's Michael Caine. They weren't even in the movies together. I don't know, but his Michael Caine is amazing, and I loved hearing it. And he went to multiple choice one time, but he got all of his questions right. He had a perfect round otherwise. Round 2, 18-13 in favor of Mike. So Mike's already got a 5-point lead when it comes to the second round of this thing, you know. And he's got his mask on. He's just having a ball with it. So then we get to round 3, and Mike switches up to Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze voice. And Smets has a rough final round here. He gets his 2-pointer, but misses his 3 and his 5 with some tough questions here. And Mike wins via a TKO, 18-15. I was not expecting a TKO here. I really thought it was going to come down to the bitter end. And it didn't. Unfortunately, he had a little bit of a rough time, but that's okay. It was just an exhibition match. It's not as big of a deal. One interesting thing that I caught here after the match, on the screen, they show Mike's name, and they gave him like a new nickname. It was Mike the Killer Croc Kalinowski. I thought that was really clever, but they never once said it during the match. And I'm like, come on. Like, I don't know if they thought of it after when they were making the graphics or whatever, but it would have been awesome just for him to be introduced that way. I would have loved to have heard that, because it was really clever. All right, and now we are going to get into the main crux of this here episode, the premiere event. We have the Wildberries versus VIDEODREW and Claudia Dolph, as well as Kevin Smets once again here, going up against Chandru Dhandapani. Man, big stuff going on. Season 9 has officially begun with this pay-per-view event. And we got the return of cutscenes. We were building story. And we have some resolution to the Schmoedown. That's the first thing that happens here. We get this Schmoedown unmasked cutscene. So Grace is there. She's pleading for more time. And the dude in the creepy mask is there. We saw that once or twice. I think twice. I think we saw him before. And he calls Harloff. And he's like, do you know who this is, whatever. And he winds up taking off the mask and everything, and it's Sam Levine. So Harloff was asked about this, and apparently it was always intended to be Sam. Even from the beginning of this whole thing. But there were apparently going to be different circumstances that were going to happen. Things were going to play out a little bit differently. But apparently, yeah, it was always supposed to be Sam, which I thought that's really interesting. So Sam makes a deal with Harloff. He will come back as a player for a full season as long as he gets a #1 contender shot. And the Schmoedown has to be done. Like, he's sick of doing it. And so he's like, I'll come back, but I need a #1 contender match, and I need the Schmoedown to be done. And Harloff agrees. He even says, he's like, man, you drove guy nuts. I'd have gave you a title shot. And Sam's like, touche, chairman. I thought that was really funny. But yeah, Sam coming back as a player, I think that's huge. When he was here, when he was a player before, he was dominant, in that last season, right before he retired. He started off, a little, I mean, he was good, but, he was a hit or miss at times when he first came in. But then once he understood the game and everything, he was just a force to reckon with. Him and Drew McWeeny as a team, it was incredible. So I don't know if we're going to see that happen again either. But to be able to see Sam come through again as a player, I'm assuming that whoever is going to be going for the title with Marisol, I'm kind of assuming it's going to be somebody versus Sam for that in that #1 contenders match, and then the winner of that will go off in March or at the end of the month. Maybe it'll be later on down the line. I don't know, but if it could be like Marisol, Sam, and then Paul Oyama cashing in that triple threat, that would be hell of a main event. It would be incredible. Then Harloff winds up saying that Jay is out as the commissioner. No more Jay Washington as the commissioner, but he will be back as a player. Harloff is going to force him back as a player. So that'll be interesting. Jay was, not great. I'll be honest. I love Jay, but he's not great as a player. And Grace is fired. Harloff real giddy about this. It was a hell of a way to wrap up the Schmoedown. And know that, people were getting real annoyed because we weren't getting any of it during the digital era. But, you couldn't do a lot of stuff, and he didn't want to just keep doing stupid digital, like, somebody pops in the StreamYard room or whatever. I get that. So I like what he's done here. And I don't think this is the last time that we're going to see Grace. I have this feeling that she's going to be back to try and sabotage things, get revenge. Maybe she will put together her own crew and try to get back at Harloff for firing her and everything. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Then we get a cutscene from the Wildberries. Yes, the Wildberries are finally back. They're plugging their shirts at the Skybound store, as always. And we get VIDEODREW and Claudia Dolph being real creepy. VIDEODREW has a creepy doll that she keeps with her during the match as well. Makuga freaked out, and I wholeheartedly believe he's legitimately freaked out, because if any of you have watched Makuga, like when he was on like Collider Live and stuff, he's easily freaked out. and like legit, like the way he screams when he's legitimately freaked out. I heard that a couple of times. So yeah, Makuga easily scared, and it's hilarious at times. This was probably my favorite, like, I don't know, it's not really a promo, but my favorite like cutscene kind of a thing that I've seen in a while. It was hilariously entertaining, very well done. VIDEODREW calling him Makuger and Makuber was just hilarious. And she called them the Wild Cherries. And she says it was such a creepy straight face, and I love it. She is awesome. And I I really think that her and Claudia have a really interesting chemistry together. I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about them together, but after like this cutscene and then seeing them throughout the match, and then in like the post interview and everything, I dig it. You know, I kind of hope we do get to see them stick around as a team. So we get into the match. You know, we get into the event, and we finally get to see the studio, the brand new studio. And I love the look of the studio, the tables, the setup that they have, the desk, the light, like the neon lights and stuff. It looks really cool. But I'm personally not a big fan of like the really soft lighting, and the filming style kind of almost makes it look like a soap opera at times. I don't know what it is. And I'm sure I'll get used to it, you know, over time. I'm sure I'll get used to it and it won't be a big deal. But like it stood out to me. You know, it wasn't as like crisp and sharp seeming as it used to be. And that could just be the lighting. It could be however they're filming. I don't know. Whatever cameras they're using. I honestly have no idea. But it was something noticeable. And like I said, I'll probably get really used to it quick, hopefully. But it was a thing that I thought throughout both the event here and the Batman match as well. Also, I like that the players have individual mics now. They have them like clipped to themselves. I like that instead of having like the desk mounted ones. So like Josh was wandering around, you know, running around, and you could still hear him when he's doing his thing. He didn't have to be right up on the mic or anything. So I really liked that aspect. And it kind of declutters the desk as well. So it looked a lot more professional, and I really enjoyed that. They were just like mic'd up in that way. All right. And then we get to see this new format in full effect here, because we finally get to see how this wild card thing is going to work when we get to round 2, which I'm excited to talk about when we get there. We see Christian doing announcements in the first match, which is cool, but I had a problem with him not facing the camera. Him being a little bit angled is one thing, and that's totally fine. But there was a point where he was completely like turned sideways toward the curtain and like announcing toward the curtain. And I'm like, that just looks terrible. Like, don't do that. I liked more the way Ken did it. He was like right there. He was announcing to the camera. But like I said, even if it was just like a 45-degree angle from between straight on, you know, spiking the lens to, you know, to being completely sideways, you know, go right, you know, kind of even it out, go right in the middle there. And I think that would actually be a little bit better, because he could still be looking at the camera. He could still look, and it's not as awkward to do that. I don't know. Hopefully they'll realize that, and hopefully he'll change that, because I did not like it when he was sideways, not looking at the camera. It's not as bad as having your back to the camera, but it's not great, guys. It's not great. All right. We're gonna get into this match now. It's the Wildberries and VIDEODREW Claudia Dolph. Claudia the Dancer Dolph. I don't remember that as her nickname. But I was like, oh, okay. I don't know why she's Claudia the Dancer. There was nothing to indicate that as a thing. Maybe I'm missing something, but I had no idea why that was her nickname. Wildberries, as wild as I expected them to be. They get up to the desk. They've got team dividers now for round one only, which I thought was interesting little piece. And we get some new rules graphics, which I really loved. Seems like they're trying to get away from the JTE. They're calling it the JTE rule. They're calling it repeats. And nobody calls it JTE during the match. You know, the announcers always call them repeats. The players called them repeats. Wasn't until the post interview, Jen Sturcher called them JTEs. So I don't know if maybe they're trying to get away from that. Maybe they'll say something to her and she'll, stop saying JTE. But because it's supposed to be a more legitimized show, right? And if you're tuning in to watch this, there, plenty of people who or what the fuck is a JTE rule? What the fuck does that mean? Why is it called that? It's better to just lean away from that. It was funny at the time when it was this little thing and why it came about, but yeah, it's time to just lean away from that and just start calling them repeats, because that's all they are, and that's all they need to be. All right, so we finally get a question, inside of that realm, this new category of streaming movies. This was a big thing, streaming movies being added to the category list. There's apparently a whole bunch of movies that were added. I was listening to Schmoedown Backstage. Ben Bateman finally relaunched it on his channel, because it's not on the Schmoedown network anymore. It's not on Schmoedown or SEN or any of that. It's just his own thing now. And he had Dan Merle on, and they were talking. And apparently this streaming movies list is like 9 pages long, which is nuts. It's a lot. It's apparently a lot of movies. Doesn't really do them. Dan was like, it doesn't really do you any good because of how many movies are actually on this list, which I think is fascinating. But yeah, so they finally get that streaming movies category, and it's a question where the answer is it's the Adam Sandler movie Murder Mystery, and nobody got it. You've got one of the biggest comedy stars that has been doing Netflix stuff. Adam Sandler's, he's a big name, and it's like one of his newest movies. And I don't know if any of them have even seen it, to be totally honest with you. I have. I knew what it was, so I don't know. It was kind of interesting to see that none of them got this. Video Drew and Josh got close. I think Josh put Happy Murders, and Video Drew put Mystery House. So they both had like a piece of the title in there, but didn't quite get there. Video Drew and Claudia Dolph wind up leading round 117 to 16. I think that's a hell of a job on both parts. Out of a possible 20 points that you could get, not including bonuses, 17 and 16. That's a hell of a score for both of these teams. Then we get into round 2, and we get to finally see the new wheel. It's kind of plain looking, I'll be honest with you. I liked it back in the day where the slices had like pictures on them and stuff. And I don't know, it's almost kind of boring looking. And I was like, I'm not a fan. And it's really tight. Like they spin the wheel and it wouldn't spin very much. It was really tight. I hope they loosen it up a little bit. I want to see the dramatic feel of it. I want the dramatic effect of it. I want to see that wheel spin a bit more. Spin, kind of slow, and then it hits. As opposed to spin, stop. You know what I mean? Like that's essentially what it was doing. So hopefully they'll loosen that thing up just a little bit. Doesn't have to get too crazy. Video Drew and Claudia spin Stephen King, and I think they I don't remember what they spun first because I'm pretty sure I think it was Stephen King, and they were just confident about it. But there was some hesitation, and it didn't really turn out all that great. They got the they got the questions, most of them, but it could have been a little bit better. The Wildberries they first get David Lynch, and then they wind up getting the wild card for the Wildberries. And when they flip it over, or they take the thing off, it is one of the unique categories. I don't know what to call them. These kind of off the wall categories, and it's Die Hard with a blank. And I was like, that is a fucking brilliant category. And Josh Makuga was thrilled with it as well. Cleared this he just went straight through that category. And the Wildberries wind up taking the lead here, 25-24 at the end of round 2. It got real, for lack of a better word, wild up in that house. Then we got to round 3, and as they were picking numbers, Videodrew called Claudia Dolph Tom. This happened again in the post-match interview, so I love that they're still going with the whole Tom thing from seasons past. But Claudia just rolling right with it. It didn't even phase her, which I think that shows that they have a really great chemistry together. So during, it was kind of a standard type of match, nothing too crazy going on here. But during Videodrew and Claudia Dolph's, I got, first off, they need a team name. But I can't keep saying Videodrew and Claudia Dolph. I need a team name here. So please do that. Get on that. But during their 3-pointer, Dewberry was standing behind them. Now, I understand they're the Wildberries. They get wild. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't think that should be allowed. It made me feel a little uncomfortable. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea. Now, if this is an exhibition match, I don't care. But I don't know. It seemed, I doubt that they'll let most people do that. I think it was probably just because, it's the first match back and it's the Wildberries, and they know that they're going to be a little wild and crazy. And so I think that's a big reason why they just kind of let it slide. And it was only for that one question. He went back afterward, but yeah, it was funny at the moment. It was really funny to see him just standing behind them, not like right up next to them, but in the background behind them. But I hope that it's not a thing because that could lead to just people choosing to go do stuff like that to try to intimidate their opponent. We don't want that. I think that's a little bit too far into it. And when all is said and done, the Wildberries took this match 32-29. They did a hell of a job here. The Wildberries crushed it. I'll be honest. Some of it did seem like the questions were a little bit on an easier level, which is fine. It doesn't have to be fucking top tier insane questions all the time. But it was great to see the Wildberries catch a win here, and do so amazing. Who they'll face next, I don't know. But I kind of be honest with you, I want to see them face the Real Rejects. They faced them once before back in 2018, I believe. And I would love to see that happen again. The two of them are really fun to watch, and I really think it would be a good match. I really do. I think this was a perfect opener for the season. We had lots of fun stuff going on. We had Josh Makuga I forgot to mention this, doing his Robert De Niro impression, which I thought was really interesting because he's done this before. And I love his De Niro. It's hilarious. But then he does his De Niro, then he has to answer a question, and it's literally the answer is Robert De Niro, and it's Josh's question. I was like, holy shit, that's some wild coincidence right there. I thought that was pretty crazy. You know, everything just kind of lined up for the Wildberries in this match. It was just the stars were shining bright for the Wildberries, and it was nice to see. It was nice to see. And like I said before, even though they lost, I really want to see VIDEODREW and Claudia Dolph stay as a team. They have some really good chemistry. Just get a team name, please. Just get a team name. That way I do not have to keep just saying it over and over again. All right. Then in between the matches, Christian had a big announcement. You know, a while back, like 2 weeks ago, I think, because I think I talked about it on last week's episode. Christian had said that there was going to be a major announcement at the pay-per-view, and it's going to be about how the format of the Schmoedown is going to be throughout the rest of the season. And he was right. It was a major announcement, because Christian Harloff announced that from now on, instead of dropping a match on Wednesday and then dropping another match on Friday and hoping people watch them and catch them and all this other stuff, it's going to be one night of Schmoedown, Friday nights, 2 matches, cutscenes, everything you want there. And it's going to be called, right here, you can see it on the screen if you're watching, Friday Night Titans. It's very reminiscent of wrestling, of like Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, and so he's really building this into a show, into a program, must see viewing, if you will. And I'm really digging it, so it's, like I say, it's described. It's 2 matches a week together on Fridays. I believe at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time every Friday. 2 matches plus, quote unquote, anything else that's happening inside the world of the Schmoedown. It can all be found in this one show. Early access for the first half of Friday Night Titans will be available for the patrons earlier in the week, probably like Monday, Tuesday, or maybe even Wednesday. I don't know when they're going to do it. I'll be honest, I haven't checked my Patreon, so I don't know if they dropped the early release for this week. I'm not honestly sure. But here's one of the things I thought was interesting, because there's a lot of people out there who don't like watching all the storyline stuff, all the cutscenes and everything else. They just want the trivia, and that's it. Well, now they're going to be able to get that, because Friday Night Titans is going to be on Fridays, of course. But then the following week on Tuesday and Thursday, they're going to be dropping the matches with just the trivia. No cutscenes, no interviews, none of that stuff. No promos, just the trivia right there for you. So Tuesday will be the first match. Thursday, the second match, for those of you who just want to watch the trivia. And you can. And it's right there for you, and you don't have to worry about any of the other stuff. And they've also been dropping like all the cutscenes separately as little clips and things like that. So yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, there's going to be a lot of video content on the channel, so you're going to have to be sure to, make sure you know how to find everything. I'm sure that they're going to be doing playlists and stuff as well, so that might be the best bet. But I think it'll be really interesting. Also, there will be no more schedule. Anybody can show up on Friday Night Titans and challenge anybody, and so you're never going to really know who the hell is going to be in a match from week to week. You never know. No more schedule. I know that's going to make it tough for some people to try to schedule interviews and things, which he's doing very differently now too for the after shows. I guess they have a PR firm now that you have to go through, which I think is smart. It makes sense. It will make it a little bit more challenging for some of them, but hey, I hope that they all succeed in doing what they do. If I decide I want to have guests on the show, which maybe I will, maybe I won't, I don't know. I haven't decided. I've only done that once. I had Janine on one time way back in the early stages of Talkin Schmoedown. I think it was either right before or right after she made this logo right down here, as you see, Janine Machine. She made my Talkin Schmoedown logo for me, which I love and very appreciative of for that. And also, he said that there's going to be 3 to 4 episodes a month of Friday Night Titans, as well as a pay-per-view event on Patreon. Now, some months it'll be 3 Friday Night Titans on YouTube, and then a special pay-per-view version of Friday Night Titans on the Patreon. And then some months, like April, for instance, this year, we'll have 4 episodes of Friday Night Titans on the YouTube channel, plus the pay-per-view, which will be the free-for-all. So yeah, we're going to be getting the free-for-all in April, which is exciting. And the last thing that he talked about was the auditions for the movie Trivia Schmoedown. They're still open, and apparently they're going to stay open all year round. So be sure, if you want to get in, to go and do that. Make sure that you send in your submission. All right. So after all that, we get a new cutscene here. Kevin Smets, he's waiting around. Kaiser had to go presumably drop a deuce, but he makes it real quick. And so Smets is waiting, and Roxy comes in and they start chatting. He thanks her, for being there for him during all, everything that was going on with him. And, when he was coming back to do training and everything like that. And during this, I really wondered, and it was obvious that they wanted you to think this. But I was like, is Roxy trying to poach Kevin Smets from Kaiser in the dungeon? Is that who she's working on trying to get? Is that the big name? Is Kevin Smets that she's trying to get? Does not wind up being the case, as we've already talked about. She winds up betraying him, which we will find out here soon, and going with Chandru instead. So now Harloff is on the desk, and with him there, Ken Knapsack is doing the introductions. And I like the way, like I said, I like the way that he did them. Chandru came out first, dressed as President Loki. Which I gotta say, man, he looked good, man. He looked pretty dope. I don't like his character. Of course, you're not supposed to. And he does a hell of a job of making me hate him. But damn, that dude looked freaking snazzy in that outfit. I gotta say, I give him props for that. Also, he had a new theme from my bud David B. Love that guy. Love his music. It's fantastic. And that new theme of Chandru's is dope. I love that a lot. And so as the match is getting ready to start, this is when we learn Roxy comes out. Chandru's like, I have a new manager, and I'm going to introduce the best manager in the league. And then Roxy comes out and says, yeah, Chandru's I'm in the stars now. Sorry, Kevin. And he feels very betrayed at this point. And so throughout the first match, throughout the first round, Kevin Smets misses one question, and Chandru gets so incredibly cocky throughout this that it's I hate how cocky he gets, even with the slightest of leads, and he's always like this. Got a comment here from Alicia. Says, hate the character, love the outfits. You're right, Alicia. Chandru is very hateable and has some fantastic outfits. Hopefully, we'll get to see more cool outfits like that in the future from people, because that's something I loved about the Schmoedown back in the day, was the entrances and the crazy get-ups and stuff. I went back recently and rewatched all of Season 1 and Season 2 of the Schmoedown, because it had been a very long time since I watched those. And so many amazingly fun entrances. And I really want to get back to that stuff. So Chandru gets a perfect round here with the bonus and leads the round 1 11-9. And, you can tell, it's getting in Kevin's head just a little bit. It's bothering him that he missed that question, because just like with Star Wars, you miss one question and that could be it for you. You know, it could really screw you over. You got to be on the top of your game when you're playing somebody like Chandru. So we get to round 2. Smets spins Batman, and he, for lack of a better term, pun completely intended, smashes the category with a perfect round here. And Chandru spins Wizarding World. That's a big strength of his, and he also just dominates that round and goes perfect. Still leading out of round 2, 21-19. These guys are beasts. Not to be confused with William Bibiani, but these guys are inner geekdom beasts. And I would not be shocked. I would be shocked if one of these two is not a champion at some point during the year. Mainly because if Mike can hold on to it for a full year, hoo-wee, man, that's impressive. But I think Kevin Smets might give him a run for his money. We'll see. Then we get into round 3. And I've come to the realization, because I rewatched the matches when I was prepping for the show, and I came to the realization that I don't like it when people tell us the reason why they're picking numbers. I'm just like, I don't care. Just pick your numbers and move on with it. Like, you don't have, like, because half the time they're trying to come up with some witty response, and it's just like it's dragging out. And I'm just like, I don't care. Pick your fucking numbers and move on. They're numbers. I don't give a shit why you picked them. You picked them. Move on. Like, I don't know. I don't know if maybe it was just because it was Chandru, but I thought about it, and I really don't like it when anybody does it. Like, I just don't care. I don't care if you're doing it for baseball players or, movie, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. Just pick your numbers so we can listen to the trivia and get on with this match. So Chandru winds up burning 2 repeats on his first question in round 3. And I saw some people saying that they thought he was doing it for the drama of it. And I really don't think that's the case, because I don't think Chandru is too smart to waste 2 repeats on his first question in round 3. Maybe 1 if he wants to kind of blow a little drama out there. But even that, I don't think he would. If he knew it, I don't think he would waste the JTEs. I do believe that he needed them to get to that answer, and sometimes that happens. But if he did, I think that was stupid. Because why waste them that early? Like I said, waste 1 for some dramatic effect, but 2 of them, like, no, like that's. I really hope that's not what he did. Then we got to the first challenge of the season. Couldn't get through one event without having a challenge thrown on the table. Chandru challenged Smets. He answered. It was a question about Jurassic Park, and it was about the guy. What did he say he wanted for doing it? And he said he wanted to hunt a T. Or Kevin Smets says he wanted to hunt a T-Rex. That's the way I answered it as well when I was sitting here watching it. And they challenge Roxy and Chandru challenge it, saying that in the movie they specify that it's a male T-Rex, and even the judges say that it's a main, like that's like a main staple of what they say. They're very specific about it in the movie. It's a buck, a male T-Rex. And at first, when I watched it the first time, I was like, that's a stupid challenge. Like, come on, man. It's a fucking T-Rex. But then when I watched it through the second time, I was like, you know what? It's really not a stupid challenge. They specify a male T-Rex. He does not want a female T-Rex. So just saying a T-Rex encompasses both females and males. Well, he does not want to hunt a female. He wants to hunt a male. So I'm glad that it went this way, to be totally honest with you. Maybe I'm a little biased because I am a fan of Kevin. But I don't think in retrospect I could be mad if they sided with Chandru. Because another thing about this is it changed the course of the match. So, I'll get to it in a second. Chandru winds up not being able to answer his 5-pointer. Okay. And so Kevin Smets wins the match 29-26. 3-point lead. If they had upheld the challenge, Kevin would have lost those 3 points and it would have been tied 26-26 and it would have went to sudden death. And anything can happen in sudden death. So the course of the match changed because of that challenge. Now, I'm sure it will be controversial. They're trying to make these challenges and these, the judgments of the challenges less controversial. They have a line judge, a specific line judge now, somebody who is their final decision. And it's usually one of the writers. It's probably like PJ or somebody like that. But I know that I feel like they were probably thinking the way I was at first. It was like, you're getting too nitpicky about it. But they specify that. Like, if he went there and they're like, okay, here's your T-Rex to hunt, and he's like, that's a fucking female T-Rex. I didn't ask for that. He wouldn't accept it. He wouldn't agree to it. It's because he did specifically want a buck that I think this challenge had legitimacy. It was a valid challenge, and I think it's something that will probably be talked about for a bit. I'm interested to hear everybody's thoughts, but it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out, especially now that the matches are on YouTube completely. For anybody who wants to watch them, they have released them separately as the 2 parts. So, I hope you've watched it before you're, listening and watching me. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that all kind of shakes out. I don't know. We'll see. It was really a nail biter of a match. I was rooting for Kevin the entire time, and having him be behind for the first 2 rounds, it was hard. It was like, oh my goodness, come on, like, don't let Chandru win. And then the challenge and wondering, is he going to be even farther behind? Getting to that 5-point question with Chandru, you don't really expect Chandru to miss it, but I was damn glad that he did, because Kevin pulled out that win. Now he can move on, and he got the rust off, and he's looking good, ready to smash the rest of this fucking division into oblivion and make his way back up to Mike so they can have another face-off, which is going to be fantastic. The post-interview with Smets was very emotional. Watching Jen and Kaiser and Smets get misty-eyed and get start to tear up and stuff. It's powerful, and I love seeing him back. I love the way how everybody is so embracing of him. It was the same in the Batman match with Mike. It was just, you could feel the love, and so I'm really, really happy to see that. It's damn good to have him back. And then, yeah, Roxy's leaning into this whole don't trust anybody thing. It really does seem like I said, that she's turning heel, which is fine. She's good at it. She can do that. I don't think that's going to be a problem for her. I think it will, like I said, her being heel will dictate what sort of clientele she winds up bringing into the faction. I don't know if Alex Damon's going to wind up staying or not, so we'll see how that goes. And if not, it's like, who can she get? Who's still around in Star Wars? I'm sure there's some people that haven't gotten, who could play that heel that haven't gotten picked up yet that I'm just not thinking of. But it'll be interesting to see what happens here. So after the match is over, JTE comes out. The infamous Little Evil JTE, saying he's one of the best, man, and he deserves to be treated as such. He was part of the Patriots. They went 9-0. They went undefeated for nine matches, not 9 title matches, but 9 matches. Defended like 6 times until they finally lost the belts. And, one of the greatest teams, some people think the greatest team of all time. And he talks about how he's beaten a bunch of people. He beat Adam Collins, former champion. He's beaten Ethan Irwin, former champion. He's beaten the Beast, William Bibiani, former champion. And who's the other team that everybody says is like could be one of the best, or if not the best? Shazam. So he decides he wants to take on the other member of Shazam, Brendan the Kid Meyer. He's challenging him to a match. Brendan comes out, giddy as always. It's the kid. And nonchalantly, he's just like, yeah, let's do this. It'll be fun. And that really gets under JT's skin, which I thought was hilarious. And so we have a confirmed match for tomorrow night's event, tomorrow night's Friday Night Titans, and it will be JTE versus Brendan Meyer. This is the kind of stuff that we're going to see. Just randomly, people come out, challenge each other, boom, we got a match. It's like, oh shit, okay, sweet. So I like the setup, and so it'll be interesting. We don't know what the other match will be yet, so that'll be interesting to find out. And then we got a scene with Janine. She confronts Roxy for betraying Kevin Smets. They try to convince her, join us, join us on the Stars. Like, stay with us. And she says no, she's out. So Janine no longer with the Stars, like I talked a little bit about before. Where will Janine go? I don't know. Like I said before, I kind of hope that maybe she goes to somebody like what was I saying before? Like Adam Witt, the fan favorites. That would be interesting. Another one that I could see being a good fit would be like the Den, because I had said Team Jen Kemp up with Paige for Betty. I could see Jen and Janine being teamed up. That could be a good team as well. So we'll see. A lot of stuff is going to shake out, I'm sure. Anybody who gets her, I think, will be lucky to have her on their team. And who will Roxy lure onto the Stars? She's gonna use those. She's gonna manipulate some people, and get them onto her team. She is, and only time will tell with that one. So it's gonna be real fascinating to watch. I'm super pumped for the rest of this season. Tomorrow, I'm excited to watch the new episode of Friday Night Titans. I hope that you guys are too. But that is episode 61 of Talkin Schmoedown. I am your host, Josh the Merc Raynor. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at JP Raynor. That's JPRAYNOR. As well as right down there, at Movie Blog Merc. That is the Twitter page for my site, Merc with the Movie Blog, of which you are watching right now. If you like what you're watching, be sure to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and click that little bell so you always know when I drop a brand new video. If you're listening to this on the podcast network, on Anchor, it's anchor.fm/movieblog Merc. You can always leave me a voice message there. And if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and you want to leave me a 5-star review, I would be more than happy to read those out on air. I do that for some of my other shows as well. So be sure to do that. And again, follow me on Twitter at movieblogmerc. I'm very active over there. I'll answer any of your questions that you have. I am very excited for this upcoming episode of Friday Night Titans, and I hope that you are too. But yes, we here are done, and we have been Talkin Schmoedown. Catch you guys next time.